Kofi mocked the dead woman and touched her breast. Kofi was the kind of man who thrived on attention. When the village elders warned of the consequences of disrespecting the dead, Kofi waved them off with a dismissive laugh. Ghosts and curses. Nonsense, he bellowed, earning chuckles from some and disapproving glares from others. The dead are just that, dead. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting and educative African stories. Thank you. But the elders' warnings were not baseless. In the heart of the village graveyard lay the tomb of Amma, a woman whose story was shrouded in mystery and fear. Her death was tragic, her spirit restless, and her grave untouchable. In this village, the dead were feared as much as they were respected. Among the villagers was a man named Kofi, a skeptic, a mocker, a man who feared nothing, or so he claimed. This is the story of how his arrogance led him to a lesson he would never forget. One evening, as the moon cast its silver light over the village, Kofi's friends goaded him. "If you're so brave," one of them challenged, "why not visit Amma's grave tonight? Show everyone you're not afraid of her spirit." Kofi smirked, his pride too large to refuse. "I'll do more than visit. I'll prove once and for all that these stories are just fairy tales." With the challenge accepted, the group laughed nervously. They knew what he didn't. No one who mocked Amma's grave walked away unchanged. Kofi's footsteps echoed in the stillness as he entered the graveyard. The air grew colder with each step, and the faint rustle of leaves sounded almost like whispers. But Kofi's confidence was unshaken. He stopped before Amma's grave. Her tombstone stood tall, adorned with a stone effigy of the woman herself. Kofi scoffed, shaking his head. "This is what they are afraid of. A piece of stone?" And then he did the unthinkable. In a brazen act of mockery, he touched the chest and fiddle with the breast of the effigy and said with a grin, "Not so scary now, you, Amma." The moment his hand made contact, a gust of wind surged through the graveyard, extinguishing his lantern. Kofi froze. The air around him grew icy, and the whispers became louder, clearer. "You dared to mock me?" Kofi's laughter was gone. He hurried home, the cold still clinging to him like a second skin. But the safety of his house offered no comfort. As he sat in his dimly lit room, strange things began to happen. The shadows in the corners of the room seemed to move. His reflection in the mirror smirked at him, even as he sat stone-faced. And then came the voice. "You will learn. The price of disrespect." Kofi's heart pounded. He spun around, but no one was there. The whispers grew louder, surrounding him, suffocating him. The next morning, pale and trembling, Kofi found himself at the door of the village elder. "Help me," he pleaded. "Something is following me." The elder's face grew grim as Kofi recounted his night. "You've angered Amma," the elder said. "Her story is one of pain and betrayal. She was wronged in life, and her spirit seeks respect in death. To mock her is to invite her wrath." Kofi's arrogance crumbled. "What must I do to make this right?" he asked. The elder handed him a bundle of flowers. "Return to her grave. Apologize sincerely. Show her the respect she deserves." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Kofi stood before Amma's grave once more. His hands trembled as he placed the flowers on her tomb. "I was wrong," he said, his voice breaking. "I mocked what I didn't understand. I'm sorry." For a moment, there was silence. Then, a figure emerged from the shadows. Amma's spirit stood before him, not as a vengeful ghost but as a sorrowful woman. "Let this be a lesson," she said, her voice soft yet firm. "Respect the dead, for their stories do not end with their lives." With that, she vanished, leaving behind a single mark on Kofi's arm, a reminder of his folly. From that day on, Kofi was a changed man. He became a voice of wisdom, urging others to honor the past and respect the spirits of the departed. And though the villagers never spoke of what happened that night, the mark on Kofi's arm told a story louder than words ever could. And so, the tale of Amma and the man who mocked her lives on, a reminder to us all, some boundaries should never be crossed, and respect for the dead is a debt we must always repay.